Hey everybody, it's Eric 80s Horror Man, and welcome to part 2 for my end of the month haul. So, continuing on, next for the Blu-ray I picked up, this is a Blu-ray DVD combo, and I saw this movie in theaters, and that's The Black Phone. And I never knew that this was based on a short story by Joe Hill, who was Stephen King's son. But I ended up watching this movie in theaters, and I thought it was interesting. I thought this was actually pretty good, and I thought Ethan Hawke did pretty good as the bad guy. So for the Black Phone, I definitely highly recommend checking out this movie because this was actually very interesting, and this was actually very good. So the Black Phone, definitely recommend checking it out. Next is another upgrade that I had from the DVD to the Blu-ray, and that's the double feature of AVP, Alien vs. Predator, and Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, where it's got both 1 and 2. So I definitely had to upgrade this one from the DVD to the Blu-ray, so I'm very glad I did. So AVP, Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2, very fun movies to watch. Pretty good. Next is another upgrade from the DVD to the Blu-ray I have, and I'm glad that this movie finally came out on Blu-ray, and that's Renegades with Kiefer Sutherland and Lou Diamond Phillips. There's like the original poster art right there. So, Renegades, very fun, good action movie to watch from the late 80s. So, definitely recommend checking out for those who has seen it or who hasn't seen it. Next, I upgraded this one from the DVD to the Blu-ray, and this is a Stephen King movie, and I saw this movie in theaters when it came out, and this was based on a short story of Stephen King's that they turned into a movie, and that's 1408 with John Cusack and Samuel Jackson. This is actually a very good movie of Stephen King's that was based on a short story of his, and they turned it into a movie. So this is actually a very good movie to watch right here. So 1408, definitely had to upgrade that. Next is another Stephen King movie I ended up getting, and it turns out that this movie is out of print for some reason, to my surprise. And that's The Mist. This is another movie of Stephen King's that's based on one of his books. But I'm just surprised that this movie is like out of print, and I don't know why, but I guess you take what you get. So, The Mist, very good Stephen King movie right there to watch. So, definitely recommend checking it out. Next is another movie I ended up ordering that was out of print. And again, to my surprise, is that some of these movies I've been finding is like out of print and just like hard to get. But this one I seen only once, but again, it was the same thing with The Nest where they edited out the killings and the everything else. But now that I got the movie, now I can see the whole thing, and that's I Madman. This one is actually not bad of a 80s slasher horror movie to watch. So I Madman, definitely recommend checking out for those who hasn't seen or heard of this one. Next is another movie that I end up getting. And this movie was actually my first time seeing this one, even though I've heard this movie, but I never seen it. And this one has Anthony Hopkins in it, and this was done in 1978, and that's Magic, where he plays like a failed magician turned ventriloquist, and he ends up getting this ventriloquist dummy by the name of Fats. And turns out he falls for this beautiful woman who he hasn't seen in so long, and turns out his dummy he does not take it too kindly that this woman is trying to come between him and his master, and the dummy's going to do whatever it takes just to put a stop to it. So, Magic, very interesting movie to watch, and I thought it was actually good, even though it was my first time seeing it. Next, I got this in the mail a couple days ago, and I'm glad I got this because this movie is actually out of print too, even though this movie came out in 2009 when they celebrated its 20th anniversary edition, and that's The Monster Squad. This is a very recognizable movie there, where kids end up meeting Dracula, the Wolfman, the Gill Man, the Mummy, and Frankenstein. And the same person who directed this movie is the same guy who directed Night of the Creeps. So, The Monster Squad, very fun movie to watch, even though it's a pretty short movie here, but it just goes by very fast, and it's very fun to watch. Also, I also got a new soundtrack that I ended up ordering as well, and that's the soundtrack of The Monster Squad. Again, figured why not? So figured I'd get this soundtrack just to add to my soundtrack collection. Okay, next for the Blu-ray. This is a Blu-ray DVD combo, and I've seen this movie a couple of times, and I thought this movie wasn't too bad for what it was, and that's Witchboard. And the person who directed this one is the same guy who directed the original Night of the Demons. So, Witchboard, I thought it was actually a very good, interesting movie, so I definitely figured to get this to add to my horror collection. So, Witchboard, very fun horror movie from the 80s. Next, I had to get, I know this movie is like out of print from Scream Factory, but thanks to Kino Lorber for putting it out, I definitely had to get it, and that's New Year's Evil. So again, the Scream Factory version is out of print, but thanks to Kino Lorber for putting this out, I definitely had to get it. So New Year's Evil, I've seen this movie a couple of times off of YouTube, and this is actually a fun 80s slasher horror movie to watch. So I definitely recommend checking out New Year's Evil. Okay, next. This next movie was also my first time seeing as well, even though I heard Doug Bradley mention it a couple times in his panel discussions about this movie. So I figured why not check it out. And this is a director's cut, and this is a Blu-ray DVD combo, and that's Nightbreed. This one was actually very interesting, and this was actually good to watch, where the humans are the bad guys and the monsters are the good guys. So I know it's a little bit different the way how the storyline is, but this is how it is. So Nightbreed, pretty good movie to watch. I definitely liked this one, even though it was my first time seeing it. Next, another movie I ended up getting, and this is another one that's also out of print and hard to get. And I've seen this movie a couple times off of YouTube as well, and this is a Blu-ray DVD combo, and that's Prison. This is actually a very fun 80s horror movie to watch, because this is the same guy who directed Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Die Hard 2, and Cliffhanger. But this movie is just very fun to watch, where the spirit of an executed prisoner is like terrorizing the prison, and the warden, who used to be the guard during that prisoner's execution, knows that he was innocent the whole entire time, but just completely ignored it and let the execution carry out. So now that spirit of the dead executed prisoner is now terrorizing the prison, and that guard is now the warden of the prison. So, Prison, Definitely a very fun horror movie to watch from the 80s. I definitely recommend checking this one out. Next, I had to get, and I'm glad that this movie came out on Blu-ray, and this one's actually a very good movie to watch, and that's The Accused with Jodie Foster and Kelly McGillis, where a prosecutor helps a rape victim prosecute a couple guys who end up raping her in a bar on top of a pinball machine, while the other people end up clapping and cheered on the assault. So, The Accused, very good movie to watch. Even though it's like a drama kind of movie, but this is definitely a good one. Next, another movie I had to get on Blu-ray, and I'm so glad that it came out. And it's a suspense movie done in 1996. Eye for an Eye with Sally Field, Kiefer Sutherland, and Ed Harris, about where a mom who plays vigilante and takes justice into her own hands after when the courts end up letting her daughter's killer go on a technicality after her daughter was raped and killed by this killer. So she goes out there and takes justice in her own hands and plays vigilante just to put an end to the killer's reign. So Eye for an Eye, very good movie to watch from 1996. So I definitely recommend checking this one out. And last, I saw this movie in theaters, and I was so psyched for this movie to come out in theaters, and I really wanted to see it so bad, and I did. And that's Jurassic World 3 Dominion. And I thought this movie was excellent. I give this movie a 10 out of 10 when I saw this movie in theaters, but this movie has both versions on the Blu-ray, the theatrical and the extended cut. Like if you want to watch the theatrical, it's on for like 2 hours and 20 minutes, but if you want to watch the extended edition, it's on for 2 hours and 40 minutes. So there's like 20 extra minutes that you never saw in the original version. But Jurassic World Dominion, I definitely thought this movie was excellent, and I gave this movie a 10 out of 10 when I saw this in theaters, and I just loved it. So Jurassic World 3 Dominion, highly recommend checking out this movie because this movie was very fun to watch. Alright guys, that's it for my end of month haul for the month of August. What do you guys think? Did you like any movies I showed off in this haul? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more videos. Later.